before when I was talking about quartiles, I said that we only need 3 values to cut it up into those quartile values, right? But then it was kind of confusing. Why do I have these min and max values, right? Well, the min and max values and those quartile values, they're all leading up to this point here, where I'm going to create a visual representation of this, right? Because I think naturally we're kind of visual beings. When I look at just a whole grid of numbers and words, I just kind of switch off. So usually I like to look at pictures, and you'll see that a lot of the time when they present findings or reports and stuff, they'll always use graphs to try and represent things, because it makes more sense. How do I actually create this? Well, to create the box plot, I can use these values, and I'll put them, and I've got the visual representations inside these brackets here. But in order to do that, I actually need my 5-number summary first, right? So again, just going through that whole process, how many values do I have here? I've got 9 again. So for A, right, what's my median value going to be? Well, that's just be the value in the middle. Median is 3. Sorry, Q2. The median is 3. And then I've got my 2 groups here. So what do I want to do next? I want to find the median of these these lower groups and upper groups here, right? So the median of this one, that's just going to be 2. So Q1 is just 2. And what's the median of this one? Well, that's just going to be the average of those 2 values. So 10 plus 12 is 22, divided by 2, that's just 11, right? Freya, what are my min and max values in this case?
Min is 0 and max is 12.
Okay. So I've got my 5-number summary now. One last thing, I am actually asked to find the IQR, and I just remember that the interquartile range, that's just a measure of spread. It tells me how spread out my values are. That's just 11 minus 2, Q3 minus Q1, right? So IQR, that's just Q3 minus Q1, which is just 11 minus 2, or just 9. Okay, so here's the construction point. This is the most important part if you haven't done this already, all right? So listen up if you haven't been. When we're constructing these, we just want to make sure that our scale kind of makes sense, right? Because I've got these values ranging from 0 to 12. You might not be able to fit that all on your page. So feel free to have a scale. Maybe start from 0 and go up by 2s. That looks a bit better. Now, in order to construct this, it doesn't actually matter which order you do this. I just find it easier to do it in the order that I found the values, right? So the median is going to be a line inside the box. So my median in this case was 3. That should be about there, halfway between 2 and 4. The edges of my box are Q1 and Q3. So that's 2 and 11. Now, what do I mean by the edges of the box? Well, you're literally just going to create a rectangle like this. So you're going to join up those lines there. And then last but not least, you have the most important part, you have these whiskers, right? So just imagine whiskers coming out. So what are my whiskers? My whiskers are the min and max values. Yeah, that's at the back of the board, at the back of the room, you might have noticed that. So because they're whiskers, we don't connect them up on those edges as well. We just draw them out like little whiskers coming out. Right? Min and max 0 and 12. Okay. Just as a little comment on what this actually is. Okay. This tells me how my data is kind of distributed, how it's kind of spread out, right? Remember, because what was the whole goal of what I was telling you before, right? The whole goal was to get my quartile values. Each quartile should have 25%, or roughly 25%. So each of these values, remember, what are these values? Well, this is the median. This is Q1. This is Q3. Each of these sections that I've created, they should each have 25% of my values. But look really closely, right? How come this one looks so much bigger? How can that one be 25%? Well, remember, this idea, yeah, it's a bigger range, exactly. So this idea of a box plot, right, it doesn't have to be, each section, its size doesn't have to be equal. It's trying to tell me, okay, where are my values kind of spread out? Well, 25% of my values are between 0 and 2, 25% of my values are between 0 and 3, 25% of my values are between 3 and 11. And again, it's just a rough approximation. If your data set isn't divisible by 4, obviously it's not going to quite work. But that's the whole idea behind it. Does that make sense? So the whole idea with the box plot is I'm trying to see where is my data spread out. I'm trying to split it up roughly into 4 groups. So let's just have a see if that actually works. So 0 and 1, 2 to 4. So that'd be these ones. Wait, not 2 to 4. Sorry, 3 to 11. 3 to, wait, 3 to 3. Yeah. I guess that's right. 2 to 3. Sorry, 2 to 3.
That's wrong.
And then 3 to 11 would be like this, and then 11 to 12 would be like that. So you can see, obviously, because this data set isn't divisible by 4, I've got one extra one there. But the whole idea is, I'm trying to see how do I split up my data set into 4 equal groups, and that box plot is just a visual representation of that. Okay? Any questions about that?